Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to change the oil on a Scion XD. The parts you're going to need are, obviously you're going to need motor oil. Recommended weight is 5W20 and you're going to need 4.4 quarts of that. You're going to need a 3/8 inch ratchet with a 14mm socket and some sort of extension. You're going to need a oil filter cap removal tool. This is a 14 flute 65mm cap, and it has the 3/8 inch square in it for the ratcheting socket. You're going to need filter. These Scions do not use a standard metal screw-on filter. They use a replaceable filter element. This is the Toyota part number for the Scion XD, and it comes with two things. It comes with the filter element itself, and it comes with a rubber O-ring. The final thing you're going to need is one of these. This is a washer for the drain plug. It's got a thin rubber coating on each side, and you can pick these up at the auto parts store. I happen to order these when I ordered a dozen of these filters when we first got the car. These were like 50 cents a piece. It's not a big deal. But you need to replace this every time you change the oil. The next thing you need to do is raise the car safely. I happen to be using a pair of Rhino ramps. Some people like to use jack stands. It's up to you. Doesn't really matter. But right now we're underneath the car. This is the front of the car. And over on the passenger side here is the oil pan. You can see right here is the drain plug for the oil. And right behind it here, this black thing, that's the oil filter. It's a plastic cap. It's reused. What we need to do is first drain the oil out of the pan, and then we're going to loosen this plastic cap and replace the oil filter element that's inside of it. Fortunately, the drain plug and the cap are right near each other, so you can drain both of them right into the same pan. Here's the drain plug. The old washer actually fell off when I started draining the oil, so it's in the bottom of the pan here. Not a big deal. Alright, now we're going to remove the oil filter cap. And what I've done is I have my the removal tool here, my extension and my socket, and I put a little oil inside of this oil filter wrench because it tends to stick on the black plastic cap a little bit. So all you have to do is get it on pretty good, wiggle it on, and then just unscrew it like you were unscrewing the drain plug. And once it gets past the rubber O-ring on the cap, the oil will start to drain out. Okay, here it comes. I'm just going to dump the oil out of the filter. And now we'll go over and we'll replace, whoops, the element just fell out. We'll go over and pop in the new element. There's a little bit of a trick to it, I'll show you. So here's the, I guess what you would call the filter cartridge canister, or whatever the hell it is, with the removal wrench still on it, attached to it. And here's the new element. First thing we have to do is replace the rubber O-ring on here. And you can see, I don't know if I can point the camera properly, that it's right here. Here's the rubber O-ring, so we'll pop that off right now. And we just take the new ring and roll it in place. It'd be a little hard to see, and just to clarify, right here is where the ring goes. Here's the bottom lip that will end up laying flat against the engine block once you tighten this back up, but the O-ring goes up here, not here. Alright, next thing is simply to install the new filter element into the canister. It just slides right in like that. Well, here's the new filter element inside the canister. One thing I like to do with any filter, whether it's this kind of filter or the traditional metal screw-on filter, is to pre-saturate the filter with some oil. So I just pour some oil into the filter, not on it, and this will soak into the filter element, into the paper, so that when you start the car for the first time after the oil change, the flow of oil to the engine will be instantaneous. If you didn't do this, then it takes a few seconds for the oil to push through the filter element and then make its way up to the engine, and those few seconds can cause some wear and tear on the engine. So just keep adding oil to this until it's pretty much saturated, until it doesn't absorb anymore, and then the filter is ready to be put on the car. Okay, so to put the new filter in, basically it just screws into the housing. Just make sure you don't cross-thread it when you're putting it in. What I do is I like to turn it backwards a little bit to make sure it's not cross-threaded. Now that's cross-threaded. See, there's this little metal tab next to it, and I'm not sure what the heck this is for. Doesn't really serve a purpose except to be a pain in the butt. There we go. So you tighten this up, and you have to put the wrench on it. And what'll happen is it'll start to tighten up because it's locking down on that rubber O-ring. See, right now I'm feeling a little pressure, but it's not seated yet. Once it gets past the O-ring, it'll loosen up again. See, now it's loose again. And then it just stops, and then you know you're tight because this plastic flange here is right up against the metal. And the next door neighbor's cat has just shown up. Hey Marley. No, you go away. Hey, come on, this is bad for you. Not for you. Go away. Hey, get away from there. Come on, go. Go home. Go on. Well, she's friendly anyways. So here's the drain plug, and here's the new washer. I mean, this doesn't get any simpler than this. Slide them over, and then just put it back in. And make sure that the old one isn't still attached there, otherwise you're going to have a problem. So you can let this oil drain out for as long as you want. I'm not going to let it drain out all day. Some people do. It's not that big a deal. Just make sure it's not cross-threaded, and tighten it up. I mean, you don't want to crank it down to the point where you strip something out, but tighten, hand tight. That's good. And make sure that you actually take the oil filter wrench off the oil filter element, because it's real easy to accidentally leave it on there, and then the next time you go to change the oil, you're like, where is the darn thing? And then you get under the car and you realize it's been there all the time. There we go. The car needs 4.4 gallons, 4.4 quarts of oil, but don't go ahead and pour 4.4 quarts into the crankcase because you're going to overfill it. Put it in 3.5 to 3 3/4, and then check the level and keep adding a little bit until the level is right. And then after that, wipe all of this down with paper towel, and then start the car and check for leaks, and make sure that it's not leaking here or here. And if there's no leaks, then you're good to go for another 5,000 miles. It's not quite obvious where the oil is supposed to be poured in. We're at the top of the engine here. So you can see over here is the oil fill cap. And you'll see that this one screws, and written on it are the 2 weights of oil that are acceptable for this car. 5W20 is good for most people. If you live in a really super cold climate, you might want 0W20 in the winter because it's a little bit thinner. It won't thicken up like the 5W will. But for most people, I'm in upstate New York, 5W20 is perfect for all year use. All you're going to do is you're going to start pouring the oil into the hole. Like I said, don't pour the full 4.4 quarts in because you're going to overfill. There's going to be some oil left in the engine after you've drained most of it out. So do 3 3/4. Then pull the dipstick out and check it, and then just keep putting a little bit in and then checking it until you've got it right. Once you've changed the oil and verified you don't have any leaks, there's one last step that you have to perform. The Scion has a maintenance required light that comes on when it's time to change the oil, and that light needs to be reset. To do that, turn the car to on, which is the last notch before it actually tries to turn over, and set the trip computer to trip A. Hold in the mode button and then turn the engine off and then back to on. And what will happen is you'll see these lights blinking, and once you've done that, it will reset the maintenance required light. And at this point, you're good to go.